All right, Shalom. Let's start up saying Call Halayim La Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem Harikak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great most, told my elder heroine as well. Salutations to the occupant of pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. I'm Chanak Amba Yashala for the Lions and Yashala camp. And this is another Lions Den News and Prophecy, so you know how we do it. This is the second Ezra 15 and 1. It says, Speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written on paper, for they are faithful and true. Right? And this particular prophecy is talking about Ezekiel 38, when the Lord said He'll put hooks in Russia's jaws and turn them back, meaning bringing them back, accompanied with the force of the Soviet Union or the Soviet Federation, like how USSR, like how it once was. All right. And so now check this out. This article right here, it was supposed to be a video. I don't know why the video is not playing, but whatever. It says Trump tells Ukraine to give up Crimea and NATO hopes. See that? The NATO hopes is whatever. But the main point that I'm focusing on is the giving up Crimea because like kind of confused me a little bit because I thought Russia had already regained Crimea and what was that 2000 and um wait a minute 2014. Yeah, Russia annexed um Crimea in 2014. I remember that, right? So yeah, I thought it was already, but apparently not. All right, so yeah. So Trump is telling Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, go ahead and get that up, homeboy. Don't even think about no NATO deals. All right. So let's see what this article is talking about. Lord willing, lessons to edify and serve His purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. It says it says Trump appeared to place the onus of ending the war on the Ukrainian leader and said Ukraine should give up Crimea and its hopes of joining NATO. It says Washington. President Donald Trump is meeting at the White House on Monday with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky in an accelerating effort to end a grinding war with Russia on terms acceptable to both sides. Trump greeted the Ukrainian leader with a smile and a warm handshake upon his arrival at the White House. He didn't want to, bro. After the way they did him last time he was here, the way they were talking crazy to him, I didn't want to greet him with a smile. After they had that, after he had that conversation with um Putin over the weekend. Was that Friday? Yeah, Putin wasn't having that shit. Putin said, "Oh, what else they said?" Putin said, "Oh, hey, next time, why don't you come to Moscow? You know, why don't you come to Moscow?" Yeah, Trump ain't gonna go over there. You so bad though. He said he could end the war during his campaign. He said he could end the war in Ukraine in 30 seconds. You know, 8 months later, it says um, Trump greeted the Ukrainian leader with a smile and a warm handshake upon his arrival at the White House. A stark difference from the tense televised meeting the two men held in February in the Oval Office. See there? That was it. It was a real intense meeting. It said, first off, a summit meeting in Alaska with Russian leadership. Trump summoned Zelensky to see if they can resolve sticking points centered on Ukraine's future security and status of territorial that the Russian military has seized in eastern and southern Ukraine. A number of European leaders also arrived at the White House on Monday, working towards a breaking through in a more than 3 year conflict that Trump himself has cautioned could erupt in a third world war if allowed to persist. But there's nothing they're going to be able to do about it. This all being done by Yahweh Shem Shai. All right. Says as a condition of ending the war, Russian President Vladimir Putin has insisted that his country retain about 20% of Ukrainian territory that it now controls. For his part, Zelensky has said that Ukraine's constitution forbids him to cede any territory. But here's the thing. So I looked it up. I typed in is Crimea part of Ukraine and Russia, and I also looked up and said, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. Okay. Computer messed me up. I just lost my train of thought. All right. Um, so now Crimea was part of, yeah, Ukraine was part of Russia or the USSR. Oh, let me yeah, let me pull that up again. All right, 15 countries that are a part of the Soviet Union: Armenia, Georgia, Lithuania, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Turkmenistan, Estonia, Latvia, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan. Right, so Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union at one point in time. So this is all everything is happening. First of all, listen to how the Lord works. The Lord prophesied that He was going to force Russia to become back to that Soviet Union, that powerhouse that it once was back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, right? So now it makes perfect sense that the war in Ukraine had to happen because Ukraine's going to be a part of that shit too. That's why the first thing they did was annex Crimea in 2014. Now, what was their central location that they're trying to get? They've been trying to get Kiev. See that? So we're witnessing prophecy in the making, man. The Lord is setting all this up, man. Call Halayim La Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So Ukraine used to be a part of the Soviet Union. All right. So really, Vladimir Putin and Russia are fighting just like how with China, because like it was the United States that divided all that shit up, and NATO that divided all that shit up. That's why China is trying to do the same thing with Taiwan. We're gonna witness the same thing that's going on with Ukraine and Russia, going with China and Taiwan. You see that? But you know what I'm saying? You know, so so all they were doing is like trying to stop NATO because Ukraine was trying to forcefully like join NATO, and Russia knew they couldn't allow that to happen because they would be completely surrounded by NATO forces, by NATO countries. You see that? So that's why the whole war started, and also because that's prophetic, because the Lord said He's gonna bring back the old former Soviet Union back to its. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's gonna be enough, along with other allied countries, to take America down. See that? All right, it says back to this article. It says so Zelensky says he can't cede any territory. He can't let anything go. Right? It says, but Trump is telling him to let go of Crimea, and the Lord's gonna have him do that. It says our goal is a reliable and lasting peace for Ukraine and for the whole of Europe. Zelensky posted on X Monday afternoon before his sit down with Trump, and it is important to that mo- momentum, the momentum of all of our meetings lead to precisely this result. But there ain't gonna be no peace, man. Like you think, man, man. Putin said what he said. That's just it, and he gonna stand on it. And he gonna stand on it. Ain't gonna be no. He ain't gonna bend or waver. Fucking fly. All right. So it says, so they trying to find some peace in over there between them, but it's not gonna happen. Trump scheduled a full slate of afternoon meetings with Zelensky, along with European officials, including French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Slovakia, German Chancellor uh, Frederick Merz, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, NATO Security General Mark Rutte, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, whatever, all these crazy people. It says Europe looms large in any peace deal reached. How do they be writing this shit? Reached between the combatants looking to prevent future Russian attacks. European nations would be an important part of any security guarantees that Ukraine has requested as part of any peace deal. Ukraine is ready for a real truce for establishing a new security architecture, Zelensky wrote in his social media post. We need peace. Yeah, because you're getting your asses handed over to you. Well, but here's the thing: Russia's not trying to blow them off the map. Those are Russians, man. And that's the Lord that's slowing everything down because Russia could have been blew them off the map, man. It says lately Trump has retracted up his efforts to secure a peace deal with an eye on noble peace. Oh my gosh. Trump met privately with Putin at a military base in Anchorage, Alaska on Friday to jumpstart peace talks. Though he said before the meeting he wanted a ceasefire, Trump left the nearly 3 hour meeting without without one and said he was shifting his aim toward a full-fledged peace agreement. It said Trump administration they it didn't look like no peace agreement was even reached from what I'm saying, how it looked like, how the conversation didn't look like it went too good. It says Trump administration messaging has at times been muddled. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Sunday on NBC News Meet the Press that a ceasefire was not off the table. In a post to Truth Social Sunday night, Trump appeared to place the onus of ending the war on Zelensky while emphasizing that Ukraine must give up and annex Crimea and its hopes of joining NATO. See that? The key point is giving up Crimea, man. We're witnessing how by Shimei was shot. You know what I'm saying? We're witnessing these prophecies. I probably That's crazy, man. But when this is matter of fact, let's go into that. Let's go into Ezekiel. So get a clear like understanding what we're talking about. All right. All right. This is Ezekiel 38:1. It says, "The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against it." Right. So even though the Lord's going to use Russia as the bear to take down America, Yahweh Shemel Shai is still against them. So we're prophesying against them, letting them know what they finna do, how it's finna happen, and you know what I'm saying? And then ultimately after that they're going into slavery. Bottom line. All right. It says, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. That's Russia, Eurasia, and Moscow. It says, and say, thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and I will put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor. See, that's why you have all these nuclear arms race going on. Elder did a lesson on talking about that last week. That's the reason of the nuclear arms race because of this. Everybody, it's the biggest one since the Cold War. You know, so it says, "I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army." So they're gonna be formed back until Russia's gonna be formed back until the Soviet Union, man, along with other nations add on them to it. It says, "Horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, and they're gonna be fully equipped. Even a great company with shields and bucklers, all of them handling swords." You see that? You see that? It says Persia, that's Iran. And Russia's been backing them up. Ethiopia and Libya with them, all them with shields and helmets. They're gonna have defense, they're gonna have um um offense and defense shit. It says Gogomar and all his bands, the house of Togomar of the north quarter, and all his bands, and many people with thee. I think that's going into like Turkey and Istanbul, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but this is all this what this article is really putting together is this right here, Ezekiel 38. With because like I said before, like I read before, Crimea was once part of the Soviet Union. All right. And Ukraine was once part of the Soviet Union. It wasn't until the fall of the Soviet Union that all these other countries tried to so-called gain their own so-called sovereignty. Just like it was after what World War II, or so I forgot what, not World War II, but I forgot what war it was that separated Taiwan from China. This is the same situation. So what you're going to see happen in the future is like what I think. China's going to end up doing the same thing involving Taiwan. You see that? So just wanted to go on that real quick. I wish the video would have played, but whatever. I'll probably put a link to um, the article in the description box if anybody wants to read on it further. I just want to touch on it a little bit. Lord, what is lesson edifying the service purpose for the hope elect, the ones that truly believe in the name Yahweh Shem Shai. With that, I'd like to say, call Halayim La Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, by Shem Harakak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great most, all of my elder here one as well. Salutations to the Akin that are pushing the truth, the sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name Yahweh Shem Shai. Shalom.